is George Bayruthi from FS Securities. We are an education and information firm on the Gold Coast in Queensland, Australia. And every morning I go through what happened overnight and try to forecast what we are likely to see on our market and the global market as well. And of course, we try to see what is hot and what is not, what you should hold and what you should fold. And by the way, if you have any particular feedback from this presentation, we would love to hear from you, and I'll give you the details on how to contact us later on. Well, overnight and from around the globe, we'll start with the Dow in Wall Street, where we've seen after 3 days of rising, we've seen 170 points down, or 0.65%. Look, but then we've had 3 beautiful days in the past. This is only a small minor, but I'll show you on the graph what we can predict from the graph, what we're likely to see. The S&P 500 was down 0.4%, the Nasdaq because of the technology index, and thanks to the big companies such as Microsoft, Apple, Amazon and so on, continues to go higher. The StoxX 50 index, which comprises most major European markets, was up 0.8%, catching up with the American market. In London, the FTSE 100 index was up 0.2%. In Germany, up 0.5%. In Japan, the Nikkei was down 0.56%. And in China, the Shanghai index was steady, up 0.1%. On our market yesterday, we were up 0.8% on top of the 3.9% that we've seen the day before. We continue to hover around the 6,000 point, which seems to be now a resistance level, and I'll show you the chart what that means. The futures are showing that most likely the market will open down 36 points down, or 0.6%. Gold was almost steady from yesterday morning, and silver again also almost steady. It shows about 12 cents higher. And Brent crude oil, $40.54, steady. And the West Texas crude oil also steady. The Australian dollar, 68.82, almost steady from yesterday morning. 61.2 euro cents and 54.8 British pence and 106 New Zealand. And for those people who follow Bitcoin, Bitcoin was down 85 US overnight compared to yesterday morning. That's 9,415 US, and that converts to approximately 13,675 Australian dollars, down 130 Australian dollars overnight. Looking at the chart here, this is the Dow, the weekly and the daily. What I really like to focus on, that thick black line, is the 200-day moving average. We went above it several days ago. It couldn't hold. I was pretty excited. It actually continued for 4 days to stay above it. But then we can see then following that peak, we were down quite a bit, almost smashing the market, nearly 1,800 points. And we stayed between the pink line, which is the 100-day moving average, and the 200-day moving average. And look what happened here yesterday. It actually tried to cross the 200-day moving average once again and could not, and closed below it. Again, I said several days ago, we expect the market to hover between the 100-day moving average and the 200-day moving average for a number of days. On the weekly chart, we can see that we actually holding above the 61.8 retracement. That's the Fibonacci retracement, and we're likely to stay above that line for a number of days. But this is actually the daily, and that's the weekly. Looking at the stochastic was down bearish because of the big movement here. Tried to recover the last couple of days, and the parabolic stop and reverse, it's above the candles, and that is actually bearish. However, that thin orange line that I'm going around now, is still above the 21-day moving average. That's bullish. Okay, we'll go through the mechanical system in a minute. All these indicators will tell you exactly from the next chart what we're likely to see. On the market, the Australian market, we can see here that we are holding above the 50% retracement. We're staying above it. That's the weekly chart. And again, on the daily chart, we went above the 100-day moving average. Then we were down quite a bit, and now we're above it. Are we likely to stay above it? Well, look, the stochastic is not a very encouraging trend at the moment or indicator. It's actually more or less neutral. The parabolic stop and reverse above the candles, that's bearish. However, the 9-day moving average, that's the thin dotted line above the black dotted line, the 21, the 9 above the 21, that is bullish. So we just have to wait and see what happens now. But looking at the mechanical system, here we've got the weekly that changes only once a week, and that's actually the 3 trading days. That's this morning, that's Wednesday morning, and that's Tuesday morning. We've gone from bearish to neutral for the Dow. We're very strong on the Nasdaq, bullish. We were actually entered a bearish for the very aggressive, but today we turned bullish. Gold, again, still bullish, but for the conservative trader, we are neutral. The difference between the investor and the conservative trader is, for the investor, we look at the monthly and the weekly charts. We pick at least 5 indicators out of 8 on the monthly chart, and provided that signal is confirmed on the weekly, if it's a weekly bullish or weekly daily or weekly bearish, if it's confirmed on the weekly, then we go neutral, bullish or bearish. We run courses, and if you're interested to learn how we actually read signals, all you have to do is talk to us. Okay, now in terms of our market here, this morning we are turning bearish for the XJO. We are bearish for ANZ, bearish for BHP. We continue to be bullish on CBA and Newcrest Mines and TPM, which is TPG. Well, yesterday and day before, you can see the day before we were very strong across all the stocks. ANZ and BHP turned bearish yesterday, and represented by that red bearish signal here. Newcrest Mines, we were down on the market yesterday by 10 cents, but we remain bullish as far as the indicators. Remember, the indicators here, we obviously rely on the daily here, and of course from day to day things can change, and some of the indicators are lagging and take more than 1 or 2 days to change. And remember, we need 5 out of 8 indicators to go either bullish, bearish or neutral. So it's important to compare the 2 days in a row. We are bullish here for Newcrest Mines, so we remain bullish despite the 0.3% drop yesterday. QBE was neutral, Rio was neutral as well. You can see here Rio was bullish yesterday morning, and this morning we turned neutral for the very aggressive trader. And by the way, for the very aggressive trader, obviously we look at 2 time frames, which much shorter time basis. So we look at daily and maybe hourly or weekly or quarterly. Okay, TPM, TPG very bullish, and TPG was up 4% 2 days ago, and yesterday, despite the market, which went up by 49 points, TPG was up 3.5%. Worley We were down 1% after 8% rise the day before, and Worley turned from bullish to neutral. Again, this will be on the website shortly, and all you have to do is go to the website and you will see those slides. In terms of volume, yesterday we've had 36% of all the stocks advancing and 23% declining. But look at the volume. The volume was lower than the previous 3 days. So that's not very encouraging. So even though we've had 49 points increase in the XJO, the top 200 stocks, and 36% of all the stocks across all the market were up, advanced, and only 23% declined, the volume was down. So that's not encouraging, as I mentioned. Okay, the most active yesterday was A2 Milk. Was up nearly 8%. Fisher and Paykel was up 5.3%. Vicinity Centers up 4.5%. JB Hi-Fi. I'm trying to actually see 2 days of rises for a particular stock, and I've gone through the top 4. JB Hi-Fi, we don't have them rising the day before as much. Here we've got Transurban. No. Ramsey. Yeah, Ramsey was up 4.3% the day before, and Ramsey was up 1.9% yesterday. And Afterpay was 2% up yesterday and was at 10% up the day before. Zip, we're trading Zip at the moment, and Zip did not have any major rises yesterday. Okay, in terms of stocks with extreme volume, and we compare volume over 50-week average, and we see what happened on the weekend. Wesfarmers was up 1.8% last week with 26% rises in the volume. If we go and see what happened yesterday, 50-day moving average and the volume yesterday, Ampol was slightly up and 33% up in volume. Not a great deal of increase in the volume, so I wouldn't really worry too much about these. And on the downside, PET, fourth stock, Environment Tech, was down 4%. And by the way, it was down 2 days in a row with high volume. So maybe you want to have a look at this as well. Okay, finally our CFD trading. This is what we've got at the moment. We're trading the XJO. We've got 5 contracts making some money and 5 contracts not making some money. And overall, we're slightly up. ANZ, slightly up, not a great deal. We're losing money on Flexi Group, and we're losing a little bit of money on Infigen, and Zip, we are slightly down. Okay, finally, the disclosure. Before you take any action, please consult with us and ask us some questions about the risk that you may be taking, and need to know your risk appetite before you enter any trade on any markets. Remember, there is no guarantee that everything will work the way we expect it. However, the market has got too many variable issues and can change from one direction to another. If you have any questions, all you have to do is ask. This is our contact details, so you can write to me at George@FS. FS stands for full service. George@FS Securities, that's plural, fssecurities.com.au. Calling my mobile from overseas, you need to put the country code 61. You don't need the 0. 61 411 259526. If you ring from Australia, my mobile is 0411 259526. Happy trading, and hopefully you make some money today.